let's just get one thing straight. I'm the guy. I'm the leader. I'm the president of the United States. I'm the pick. I'm POTUS 2024. So let's just get that straight, right? Um, so that being said, I'll get to that in a minute. I was just listening to this guy, Luke. Well, I'm not even going to try to mention too many names. Anyway, he has a particular podcast, and he was showing Klaus Schwab. There we go, mentioning a name. Uh, um, Attempting to do the you'll own nothing and you'll like it, right? But it was under the idea of trying to transfer the main way in which we use vehicles to electric, away from diesel to electric, but not just that, the way in which we use vehicles, where we're in control and we own the car. If we moved to more of an Airbnb style, Uber style car sharing technology within a smart city, such that, hey, I'm just going to rent this place for 3.2 weeks and then I'll be out, and someone then can come in for the zero point 0.8 remainder plus whatever else, or any other period of time. Um, it's just greater transition, greater meaning, greater ability to move locations, greater access to communal cars, communal roadways, right? Somehow, this also runs roughshop with the idea that people might want to own an old diesel or an old car and drive their own car. And the history of America has accommodated, and of the globe, since the internal combustion engine, since, Ford and the assembly line of the Model T and so forth, all the way up till today, and with the expansion of road systems, this has been going on, such that multiple generations now have experienced what it's like to be able to travel on a road system, right? So such that if the federal government or the municipalities who own the roads, or whoever the roads are owned by, right, there's a fair or whatnot, were legally transitioning to outlawing person-driven cars or diesel-run cars in favor of green cars, electric cars, and whatnot, to transition the society. That would be another thing that could be done legally. That could be done, and it would make a tremendous amount of people unhappy. But I was just thinking about the power of AI. I got into a discussion last night about voting reform, mapping a current printout in-person vote and having it register as a vote on the blockchain, and making certain that that is in place before one leaves the voting office. Plus, you get you should have a voting holiday, or having to deal with the idea of attempting to vote on one of these magic devices directly, which certainly conceptually people have thought of. And then people that don't own these, or they don't want to download the app, or whatever is granted to them for voting, you would still have in-person voting for anyone that was eligible to do so, any citizens. Anyway, that broke off into a long discussion. I realized my arguments about certain politics, current events, that I'm not up to date on. I have or hold argumentative points about it, and I do think contemporary politics are very important, but a maintenance and a preservation of some, obviously laws and a retooling of other laws could be done. So one thing would be the IRS. The IRS is just a bloated expansionary division of the United States also, and we're busy multiplying it. Why? So that we can, the federal government, since they just pissed away, if you will, so many more trillions of dollars, they need to suck it out of us. And instead of having a flat tax, some aggregated or step structure tax, instead of just having our tax law be able to fit on a 3x5 index card, we have a great deal of tax laws that are associated with all sorts of entities and institutions, trusts and LLCs and S corps and individuals, and income tax, generally sales tax in a lot of cases, state tax in a lot of states. So I think federal tax, though, should somehow, not just merely somehow, I think it should just be simplified and made direct. And then if the government wants to put up stalwart trusts or whatnot to protect people's money, or put stuff in the Cayman Islands as it used to be, or in the Swedish banks before we went to do it, perhaps they would leave a provisionary loophole, such as to keep the class wealth divide hidden from the masses and only obtainable by the quote unquote elite. I think it would be in play anyway. Anyway, all of that being said, yeah, the tax code could be changed. The voting mechanism could be changed. And I believe the Article 5 Convention of States, a president that encourages, it's not build the wall, it's not build back better, it's not merely the abstract of change. It's, look, we're going to take away all lobbying of Congress, all insider trading or profiteering of anyone that represents a constituency, right? And outlaw, yes, gifts to spouse, promises of post election spots within corporations. Put a bill forward that then also limits all politicians, aka what I would want, states representatives, right? Get rid of the term politician per se, if you will, as the bought out group. Replace them with statespeople that are actually representing the will of their constituency, and then make the mean average of that constituency or of that statesperson's pay. Excuse me. Make the mean average of the statesperson's constituency's income match their income. Right. So that starts by gutting the bought out senator and statespeople. And then if you have anti-lobbying, then the pressure and the benefit to overlook your constituency's best interests, or even if you have their best interests, but being willing to sell out your vote because of mere money, right? That would be a problem. That's a huge problem, right? If we have virtuous elected officials go there where everyone knows they're not going to benefit financially by being in this position, not really. And if their family's already more wealthy, something like at that point you can have your passive incomes or whatever set up, but you'll no longer be allowed to generate your own corporations, right? There would be certain restrictions that you put on statespeople such that they were appropriately representing the government, right? Electoral college, you could bound all of the electorates that's given to the states. Whether they're unbound or bound, that's another issue. Okay, that being said, I don't want to linger too much. I'm just spitballing on that. Feel free to go to mikefell.com. Link is below. I got my political page set up. I don't have these videos put on, but perhaps I will. And then there's mutant management. Then there's business. All this, once again, about AI and cars got me thinking about this particular AI company, right? Because some of these companies, they're not registered. They're not attempting to do things by the book. They want to be a little more anonymous, but something tells me that they're also being philanthropic, if you will, right? And okay. So what it is, and there's a link to this below too. And this isn't merely my grift, right? But it's partially that. So look, that is the join QR code. I don't expect you to be able to scan it on the screen. Squeak. I still don't expect you to be able to scan that, right? But it doesn't matter. There's a link below, and my number is 130974. Not that matters. The link is still below. The point, though, is this particular thing is called World OTC, or over the counter, right? And it is an AI trading program that runs on USDT coin, but the Tron version, the TRX 20 version. And so you can put, and you wouldn't be able to move money in without having the right type of USDT, right? And you're forced to set up a withdrawal address immediately upon setting up your account before you can deposit. So you want to make certain that's in place. So there's Kraken, there's Exodus, Binance, some of these other areas. I'm not certain. There's tons of exchanges that do deal with this particular type of USDT. And then there's several that don't. There's several that only deal with the ER20 instead of the TR20, TRX20. Okay, that being said, though, okay, so here's my account currently, right? I'm under Cardinal, and because you can get a nickname. Okay, so I have that much, 523. And what I do is I go ahead to trade it. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because, kind of like cars in the city, and possibly this is a huge grift and a huge rug pull, so I'm not saying get in on it. I just happen to get on it. And if it is a stacked like multi-level marketing Ponzi, other people want to say scheme, that would eventually require it to end because it can't feed. It did make me think, are these guys in fact different? Do these guys go to Venezuela and Colombia and to Afghanistan to show the poor people how they can put $10 in here and compound it every 3 hours? Are they actually doing that because there is a technological advantage to what they're doing, right? So what happens is, here, I could pick a different amount to put in this account, right, to trade. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this all button on the side, boink, right? Not to show you guys this, not to mix this in with politics. I find it rather interesting. Okay, so there, it moved that 523 and some change down. And so then the button below that says start trading, right? So so I go ahead and I click on that. Now this works in 3-hour intervals, right? So there it's accessing, and it's basically what happens at this point, which I thought was interesting, right? Is they're going to tell you what your return is on this trade. And they're going to tell you how much it costs to run the trade. And in any case, it compounds. Every 3 hours you can compound. You can run a script if you want to do so. And if not, you don't have to. in any case, it probably picks from a vast majority of the crypto. It's worked with Binance Binance Coin, Dot, BCT, Ethereum. In this particular case, sorry, my camera is not going. It's chosen at the top Leo Coin. Okay, now basically what it's doing is it's saying, look, for the next 3 hours, our AI has chosen and knows that this coin is going to benefit this company more so than it's also going to benefit you. And so I'm going to go ahead and hit the start trading button. Start trading, blink, and then it'll make me confirm. And so the whole lot is in there for 3 hours trading, right? And I wish you could see it more clearly. My bad for not posting it on there. And all for the next 3 hours that I'm going to earn is $2.09 on $500. That's what's compounding, right? So it's saying all of that right there, and then I go ahead and I hit the confirm button, right? And then at that point, it moves over and it says, this is how much you now have trading, and this is how much you currently have in your wallet, meaning it only takes it over to the hundredths place, not the thousandths decimal point for the trade itself. And that's it, right? Then I scroll down. It shows a history of the trade, the current trade that it's on. Not that you can see this, but in the black bar, it says it's a countdown, and it's counting down 3 hours, right? So then I just set my alarm for 3 hours, and then I compound it again. Okay. Anyway, my links below. They do have an affiliate process to it, which amplifies it, which makes it more suspect. But back in 2017, you had BitConnect, you had USI Tech. These guys were doing all sorts of great stuff. They didn't do it with the power of an AI chosen trading bot that might be able to do better human analysis than just saying, hey, our business is built on mines and or merely built on the momentum of everything. Currently, we're in a bear market. This company's still going. So anyway, my point is I'm going to earn for 3 hours on 500 and something dollars. I'm going to earn $2.09. Now, that also means that the company is going to use my money to benefit itself also, right? Meaning they're going to take a piece of that 3 hour transaction profit, right? So they'll take a piece of that. They'll also distribute it to me, and then they'll allow it to compound so that they can trade it again. Now, if they're able to do this globally in a bear market and consistently find trades, they're not going to reach everyone on the globe, right? And since it's only $10 to get in of this USD, which is USDT is a stable coin that's pegged to the dollar, right? So it's roughly always somewhere between 99 and $1.01 based on fluctuation, but it's pegged to the value of the US dollar. Anyway, so the moral of the story is AI trading bots may be able to do something that is very beneficial, right? And just like a smart city or transitioning into look, don't own places, you'll just have places. Someone will own them, but just move in and out of places like Airbnb. People will travel more, perhaps, instead of less. And then we'll have leagues of cars, personally owned cars that are shared communally, like taxis, where there's often kind of like a gig economy brought into AI, right? Closer to the Jetsons. Now, here's the issue with my politics. My politics are based on the cherry picker party, right? That's what I call it, cherry picker party. Not the plucking virgins, but to pluck and cherry pick of the laws and legal structures and policies that I think would first most benefit the United States as a reduction back to the Constitution, but with an amplification of Article 5 to encourage the Convention of States to constantly be trying to get the legislatures of at least 34 states and 38 states to put forth amendments and or bills before Congress. Right, when Congress is all boxed up and bought out and lockstep within a two-party system, almost entirely, where it's all just blocked. Everything's blocked, and so then you get lobbyists and other people trying to push through the gridlock instead of emptying what's problematic to the gridlock, right? So you'd obviously have people lobbying Congress to not pass an anti-lobbying bill, and people would be bought out, right? They're still they obviously this is foregone to believe that this would be passed by the people. So if I was president, I would say, look, you state legislatures, we want you to enact and move forward with Article 5 and bring this bill with no lobbying and that along with perhaps a living stipend in addition, which would be a very small amount, I imagine, for a representative, and travel costs, you would only get, even if that wasn't added, right, you would only get the mean or the average of your constituency as your pay amount, right? Okay, that being said, that being reiterated, my vision is not anti-advancement in technology for those who want it. If you want to be chipped and you want to be able to hail a cab with your thoughts and embed a smartphone in your in body or outsource it through a cloud thing that knows your voice and knows that it's you and has the bio feed on you and whatnot. If you want to give yourself over to that to help streamline this Jetsons share gig economy, some sort of thing that I would find a type of utopia in, I am open for that. I'm not open for mandating it, right? So the whole idea would be, when I mentioned earlier, that there would still be people that would want to drive their own cars and run diesel and gasoline fuel on the road, and that we already have the infrastructure of the road in play or at, ready to go. Then the AI driving cars would simply have to compete and commingle, but not at the behest of attempting to outlaw those particular cars, right? Those, even if they go into antique mode, if they meet the basic requirements of speed and safety on the road, or whatever base things that mean that car in its once created state, albeit antique at the moment, should be able to still compete. Not compete, compete for a place on the road, exist on the highway, right? So, and then what you would have is you'd also have people that didn't want to have a cell phone to vote, but they still want in-person voting. There's plenty of people that want nothing to do with the internet, nothing to do with phones. They're staying away as much as possible. Then you got the next class of people that are using it as a mere utility to kind of function in the law, but they're not really searching a lot. They're not using it a lot. They're not joining social media a lot. They're just at that, and then you could just keep on making these different scaled notions of how in depth and to what extent are people using the internet. Okay, that being said, though, my point was this, is that there's got to be progress with preservation, right? So the cherry-picked conservative platforms, such as if I said, yeah, feel free to complete a general construction of the U.S.-Mexico border wall. There's already so much leakage and allowance and border crossing guards that don't care, in cities that just regulate time, for people like, oh, I have a family in Mexico, in El Paso or Laredo, for example, right? And so they like, well, you got people crossing the border. Oh, I have to work today, but no, they're just migrating over. So they're using an old green card law to just move people over in mass, as we all know, right? Now, I think human migration is a natural thing. A wall generally didn't seem like a problem, but we're also defunding the police currently, so we're not allowing to pick up illegal people. So then that questions the idea: should the United States have a degree of citizen rights as opposed to inhabitant rights? And I think it would behoove anybody other than an anarchist, even me, in what I would think is a minarchist state, where I'd reduce the expenditure of the federal government, reduce it strictly, just think of protection, not expansion, as far as international affairs. Don't go for the global, liberal democracy expansion routine to topple governments for our notion that we, in the grand monopoly game of take over the planet. No. You can have your axes and your allies, I suppose, but there would also be a diminishment of that. Although, we've hyped up since the internet and since Clinton, global trade is important. Global trade is still important. I think global trade should be left more for the markets. In any case, let me put it this way, because some people don't know quite where it is a guy like me would stand when I'm talking about preservation with progress, right? And a gutting of money out of DC and out of the pocketbooks of our representatives, and then a dislocation of the central bank or the Fed back, and put the purse of the people back into the people. So this goes against the idea of an infinite expansion. It goes against the idea of an infinite expansion of expenditures, right? And if it goes against that, then we can't just throw money around to patch up problems. But the government in its current state does need money to patch up problems. It does need this money to patch up problems. That being said, there has to be a maintenance of our Navy that allows international trade to occur on the seas, and this is going to be more difficult in the coming days and in the coming epoch of different great power, China and Russia, the superpowers, if you will, and the conflict of all nations' navy and their ports and their ports of entry and their supply chains to the inner parts of their country. So all of this needs to be seen. There has to be some money thrown around globally. But another thing would be any executive order, any drafter, or any person that has an interest that wrote the actual order actually has to have a signature on the order, not merely the president signing somebody else's constructed order. We want to know who drafted it and kind of add a secondary layer of transparency on who's it benefit, what exactly, how does it benefit. When we say we're sending this many hundreds of millions of dollars to Ukraine, what that might mean is we're actually feeding Lockheed Martin and the industrial military complex, such as to merely bring them weapons. It's not so much a philanthropy. we're not going to war in Ukraine. Although if I was there, I would say, look, sovereign state, we're fighting on behest of that, even in the threat of a nuclear conflict, right? Meaning, while we still have the military overseas, while we still have the power, the Afghan years of the U.S. and previous years of China attempting to take over that region, their tribal governments and peoples, that they always remain tribal, right? The idea of trying to posit a presidency and get the tribes to orient and owe to it, and then wag, have this new dog wag its tail while the U.S. is wagging the dog. That plan didn't work. We end up pulling out of there. Ukraine, though, it seemed like it's a little bit more of a virtuous war, although if in 2014 we put in Zelensky because of we wanted our guy in power, put a comedian in power. Well, once again, that's what I hope happens here, right? I got to have some sort of backing. So anyway, go ahead and go to. I'm almost letting too much out of the bag. I don't have a payment system set up, although I do have a business account already ready to go for presidential donations, which is different than any of the other art donations or art payments and or any of the crypto things that I'm involved in. So as soon as that's known, maybe I'll come back to this video and put a link in. Not that I expect this particular video to be a trending video by any means. Not yet. I got to get my marketing and my funnels for everything put in place and market myself as a president. Even though socialism and social processes, things that a free market capitalist would think were a bit obscene, I think they could get used to. And by that, I just mean like more employee-owned corporations. All right. Yeah, that being said, there's links below. You guys can dive in. I have my campaign bus ready. Things are tight. Obviously, if you guys know me, you know I'm not off the ground yet. Nonetheless, I'm still your guy, Mike Fell. Campaign to elect Mike Fell, President, POTUS 2024. Keep it in mind. I know it's audacious. I know it's almost absurd, but I'm the best guy for this position. I have more intricate, detailed, transformational modes and methods of praxis to change things that is going to both appease a great deal of the GOP as much as it will the Democrats. There's got to be some sort of middle in the middle and a retooling of how it is Americans are thinking about politics and the legal structure around them and their access to actually make real political policy and legal change. Because my philosophy requires there is some form or guidance for the population to move through, right? Like me wearing a sports jacket is a type of formalism, is the shape of somebody that's doing something judicial, business, official. And so the abidance by and the preservation of certain forms of behavior and certain symbols and affectations that affect how it is people behave or should behave in terms of codes of morality. Many of these things must be maintained in my eye, right? Meaning, even if I'm about the diminishment of government to a minarchism, a type of minarchism, and I introduce social programs while wanting capitalist technological companies to move forward, and that transition will take a while, I'm not a complete anarchist. Me, you, me, in the street, 2024.